Events of War of Independence. In January 1857, the new rifle was introduced. In March 1857, Mangal Pandey and his fellow sepoys refused to use the greased cartridge. They were executed. In May 1857, in Meerut, some sepoys refused to use it and they were punished. Their fellows attacked the garrison and killed the British officials. These sepoys reached to Delhi. The uprising started in other areas as well, such as Mathura, Kanpur, Jhansi, and Allahabad. In Kanpur, Maratha leader Nana Sahib mercilessly killed the British officers and their families. In September 1857, the British regained control of many areas including Delhi and Lucknow. By June 1858, the British were able to crush the rebellion in all areas of India. The British put the greater blame on Muslims. After the War of Independence in 1857, the East India Company was abolished. The British were now determined to take the complete political and military authority. The British attempt to rule through local allies and friendly princes were abandoned. Only those who were loyal to British remained on the throne with no real power. British largely blamed on Muslim community. It was a collective blow for Muslims for which it took a long time to recover and equally a long time for British to forgive Muslims. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was exiled to Rangoon in Burma in 1857. He died there in 1862. The House of Tamil was officially replaced by the British royal family, British Raj. Proclamation of 1858. Proclamation means an official statement. British issued a proclamation at all about in 1858 bringing war to an end. The direct responsibility would be in the hands of British Governor General, now called Viceroy. They took full responsibility for all the matters in India. A member of British cabinet would be a Secretary of State of India. British would not interfere in religious beliefs, pay due regard to ancient property rights and customs, abet all treaty obligations, generate the right to appoint in public service, no further territorial acquisition. Causes of War of Independence in 1858. British versus Indians. Reason why the Indians hated the British between 1750 to 1857. Number 1. Political factors. Doctrine of lapse. We have already discussed this in our video. The British policy to grab more land. British would take over the lands of a ruler after his death if he did not have a legal heir. It showed how desperate the British were to acquire territories of India. Insult of the Mughal Emperor. Mughal Emperor used to live at Red Fort in Delhi. He was moved out from there. He was sent to a less reputable place called Qutub Sahib. Lack of participation in government. British ruled India without involving the Indians in the government. The Indians criticized the British for doing so. The British introduced Charter Act 1833 to allow Indians in ICS, Indian Civil Service. The situation did not change. The examination for civil service were in English and were conducted in England. Number 2. Religious factors. Influence in religion. Ban on parda, ban on suti, ban on Muharram processions. Christian missionaries. Group of people came from England to preach Christianity. Hundreds of Muslims and Hindus in India were attracted towards Christianity. Local Indians were feeling threatened by these five missionaries. Cultural factors. Introduction of English. It was an attack on their culture. Language is the identity of the people. The Indians were not willing to learn English. Western education. Western ideas were considered corrupt. Muslim scholars declared Western education to be un-Islamic and unlawful. People of India considered Western ideas to be unsuitable for them. British arrogance. British considered themselves superior. India was considered as a country of inferior nations. The British writer said that the whole literature of the subcontinent will fail to compete with even one bookshelf of a British library. Economic factors. Heavy taxation. Taxes were very high. The burden of taxes made people poorer. Drain of wealth. Taxation was very heavy and the revenue was not spent in India for development. It was used to buy goods which were sent back to Britain. The British rule in India was like sponge soaking up the goodness of river Ganges and draining it into river Thames. Lack of employment opportunities. Limited jobs were available for Indians, mostly lower rank of job for Indians. At the last, military factors. Low ranks. The Indians had limited scope in the British Army. They were mostly employed as sepoys. Very low ranks for the Indians. March into Afghanistan. The British wanted their army to go to the Kabul. The sepoys in the army showed reluctance. The Muslim sepoys did not want to fight with their fellow Muslims. The Hindu sepoys did not want to go to another country after leaving Mother India for fear of losing their caste.